the blind woman accidentally heard her husband announce in a public interview that the person he loved was someone else. He not only let another girl replace his wife, but also publicly admitted that the girl was his true partner. The two of them openly showed their love in front of the cameras, and even announced that the girl was already pregnant with his child. The woman felt her heart break after hearing everything. She wanted to rush out and demand an explanation, but she fell in panic and hit the back of her head against the sofa, leaving her unconscious on the spot. When she woke up again, she unexpectedly regained her eyesight. The first thing she wanted to do was tell her husband the good news, but she heard a conversation outside the door. It turned out that she became blind after a car accident 5 years ago. Her husband's family refused to accept her because she was blind. Under pressure, her husband allowed the girl to take her place in public. Even worse, he realized that he could no longer live without that girl. The woman completely broke down. Only then did she realize the marriage she treasured had always been a lie. She took down the love painting she had drawn herself, and burned all those fake feelings away. Then she contacted her friends abroad and prepared to apply for a visa to leave. She decided to escape completely 5 days later. Meanwhile, her husband believed that his wife had died in the fire. When he saw her alive, he hugged her tightly and cried in excitement. Looking at his expression, the woman could not tell whether it was real or fake. At that moment, the girl suddenly appeared, but they did not know that the woman had already regained her eyesight. She personally saw her husband being intimate with the girl. To keep the girl by his side, her husband even pretended to care about his wife, and said he would arrange a so-called nutritionist to take care of her. The woman saw through everything but chose to keep hiding the truth. She only wanted to endure 5 more days and leave, until her husband took her to see an eye doctor for another examination. The doctor brought out a special medicine and said it could quickly restore her eyesight completely, but her husband directly threw the medicine into the trash. He said what would happen if his wife could see the girl. After hearing this, the woman completely lost hope. She immediately broke her wedding ring, unable to believe that her husband was willing to let her live in darkness forever. Then the girl brought her lilies that she was allergic to, and deliberately brought a vicious dog while pretending it was a guide dog. The woman fearfully hid behind her husband, but the girl pretended to be scared and cried for help. The next second, her husband chose to protect the girl, and allowed his wife to be attacked by the vicious dog. Only after she was taken to the hospital did her husband finally panic, but he arranged for the two women to stay in the same hospital room. He even fed the girl soup in front of his wife, stayed with her while listening to the baby's movements, and held her in his arms while she slept at night. Meanwhile, the woman had already prepared everything to leave the country, and was only waiting for the final moment to escape. On the day they were discharged, the three of them were suddenly kidnapped. The kidnappers forced the husband to choose one person to stay behind. The husband hesitated for a long time, but in the end, because of the girl's crying and begging, he chose to abandon the wife who had been with him for years. Fortunately, the woman was released. After treating her wounds, she went alone to their secret place. That place once held all their happiest memories, but now it was filled with the girl's clothes, and photos of her husband and the girl were hanging on the walls. The woman finally realized that there was no place for her anymore. She mailed him her broken wedding ring, then set the entire villa on fire. While leaving, she passed by her husband's car, but her husband still did not know that she had left. He desperately searched for her whereabouts. When he arrived at the secret place, all that remained in front of him was a sea of flames. At that moment, he was completely stunned and stood frozen in place.